Hello, this is Professor Choi. Today we're going to make a quick video trying to answer one of my subscribers' questions. So somebody sent me a question the other day basically asking me, what is the best way to invest? And every time I get asked this question, I have to kind of help them understand that there is no such a thing as a one way, uh, as a sort of one size fits all when it comes to this kind of strategy. So let's talk a little bit about, what do you call best? So it's really, it's really has to be sort of multi-pronged approach of where do you want to go in life. So I want you to think about this being you right now, and you want to go here, and you're looking at this particular time horizon. So this is you in the future, and you got your suitcase, and you're dressed up, and now you're going to your high paying job. All right. So, how long of a time horizon are we looking at? And what exactly is it that you want to achieve in life? That's where we want to start if we want to talk about best. So, where are you today? And where are you going? Let's call it, I don't know, 30 years from now. So, you got to have all these shorter goals as well to get to that big one. So I want you to think about like, um, I don't know, I'm thinking of a toddler right now, and when I was when I had my son, when my son was born, I was really thinking more about all these like little benchmarks that he's supposed to achieve to make sure that he's on track. And they talk about, within 6 months you're supposed to be doing this, and 12 months you're supposed to be doing that, and 18 months you're supposed to be doing that, and so on. And every time you kind of go through these groups of things, you have to be like, okay, well, check it, check it, check it, I'm good to go, things are working out. All right. So the first thing you need, I wanna talk like as if you were a student, mainly because I teach, and therefore I have a lot of people that are in their 20s, and that's really where you want to start here. So the first thing you want to have, I think, is you want to have some savings. And the reason you want to have a savings goal is because you need to have money in case something bad happens, which in all likelihood is going to happen. Most people in the US don't even have a savings account with enough money to pay for a broken tire in your car. So the first thing you need is you need some kind of savings goal. I like to think that a good savings goal is basically 6 months of your total expenses. And notice that the goal that I've set is a moving goal, because if your expenses go up, then this number has to go up as well. And the reason I use 6 months is because I think this and credit can get you through a whole year of not having a job, which is a pretty good safety net. Okay? So, I don't know, let's come up with a number. So, let's say you spend about $3,000 every month and all the different things that you are required to pay. So, 6 months will be you need to have at least $18,000 on your savings account. All right. I've spoken to other people, and for example, if you have a mortgage, they say, well, you got to have at least 1 year of mortgage to make sure that if something happens to you, um, then you can go ahead and pay at least 1 year of that mortgage. Again, those are good saving goals. So there is no such a thing as one number here, but I want you to think about, you want to have enough money so that if you lose your job or your income, then you can basically kind of rely on that. And you need to have about 6 months of expenses plus using your credit will get you to about 1 year, okay, of your life without having that income. that you have. And of course, I don't know how much money you have today. Imagine that you start at zero, and that's going to take you a little while. And that's kind of like your first goal, first thing you want to have. All right. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, that you should not be thinking still about 30 years later, or maybe 40 years later, depending again, if you're in your 20s, then it's 40 years later in order to retire. So 40 years will be retirement. All right. So what is the next thing that we want to have? Well, I think everybody should have at least one real estate property, and that's your house. So you need to have a real estate property goal. And I guess you could say lucky or unlucky, but I've moved way too much in my life. So I'm usually not one of those people that kind of hangs on too much about one particular place. But I know plenty of individuals who basically like to have their house and they think about that as their castle and that's it. So they have one, maybe they move once or twice in their life and that's it. I've moved so much that I don't hang on to anything. But you need to have a goal, I think, of owning your own home at some point. Okay, so own a home. And even Warren Buffett, who doesn't really like to invest directly on real estate, he has his own home, okay, and paid off mortgage. So you want to basically have a very similar goal. You want to have at least that one home that you can then retire on, and you want that paid off. So notice that most people usually get a 30-year mortgage. And assuming you make only the monthly payment, that basically means that you might want to buy your home if you're in your 20s by the age of 30 or between 30 and 40 years old is where you want to be buying your home. So in order to buy your home, of course, you're going to have another sort of money goal. And that money goal has to do with you having a nice job, and you need to have a good job. Let's call it a good career. It's really sort of one. You want to have a career at this point, and you want to have steady income, and you need some money for that down payment. Okay. Now I have a bunch of other videos, by the way, talking about credit as well. So credit takes time to build, and if you're able to build your credit as you're building all this little stuff, that will be an excellent thing to do. All right. Now, for goal number 3, I think you need to have career goals. So I always say that for most people, there are 2 basic paths that will get you to a really good future. One is get yourself a good degree. Something that will pay for your expenses, and then it will basically give you enough to have some extra money, or become an entrepreneur. In other words, own your own business. All right. And again, I don't know where you are in your life right now, but in order to be able to do one of these 2, you either have to become really, really good at what you do, and that takes time and effort and a lot of sweat, or you have to basically get a degree, and that could take a while also, depending on whether you want to stop at the bachelor's level, or you want to stop at the master's level, or you want to stop at the PhD level, okay, or professional somewhere in the middle. All right. Now, once all this stuff is kind of taken care of, or you're on the way there, now that is when you need to think about investing. And why do I wait so long to get here? Well, because all these other stuff, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen that pyramid where they talk about the necessities that people have, and then there's like basic stuff that you need, and you kind of build up. So investing requires you to understand that there is a level of risk, and the higher the risk, the more the probability that you're going to be losing your money. And this is something that you really, really need to understand, because most people who start investing, they do it way out here. They don't understand that they could actually lose that money. They think, oh, I'm just gonna put 4,000, it's gonna turn into 8,000, and that's it. I'm a millionaire in a week. And even though that does happen, it does not happen to most people. Most people will lose some of it before they learn how to make money. So you need to take care of all these basic necessities in your life before you get to a level where you can invest. And then if the money doesn't pan out, then you're still okay. Now, when it comes to having a nice job, if you get yourself a degree or you become an entrepreneur, then at some point you will go into the direction of basically buying a lot of real estate and then living out of that rent, or you get yourself a really nice retirement account and then use that money when you retire, or you get yourself some kind of self-directed brokerage account. Again, with a broker or with a dealer, and basically you start trading or you start investing. Okay. Now, when it comes to the stock market, which is really what a lot of people are interested on today, or at least a lot of young people are now interested on it. Again, it's not the first time. All right. When it comes to the stock market, the easiest way to invest for most people, and I want you to think about this being time horizon, is to basically buy the market as it fluctuates in time. So the value of the market kind of changes over time. And if you look at over, decades, in recessions, it goes down. But then in expansions, it pushes up and it crosses the higher number compared to before. So the general strategy that works for most people is to basically buy slow and regularly and a market index fund. Now, what exactly is an index fund? Well, it's something that's tied to some kind of major index. In the US, it will be something like the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or it will be something like the S&P 500, or something like the Russell 2000. So in other words, something that tracks the index over time, because even though an individual stock may basically go off the rails and lose all their money, the index in the US, if you look at the past 120 years, on average, it has been going up. So since most people are not financially savvy enough to understand, when to get in and when to get out and so on, the best way to basically invest is to take a little bit of that income money that hopefully at some point will be coming to you regularly, and basically putting it on this account. And again, it could be done by putting the money on the retirement account regularly or money on your self-directed brokerage account. But the idea is that you buy the market at all the little different stages as the money comes in. And now you're buying high, but you're also buying low. And it's a strategy that basically you don't really need to think about too much, because as long as the US economy is growing, the companies that are in the market will be growing as well. Okay, so the idea is that you take some income amount that you can afford. Let's call it, I don't know, $50 a month or $100 a month or whatever it is. And you slowly but surely you buy the market at all these different points. And then notice that when you buy high and you buy low, what you're basically getting is you're getting this average number. as your return over time. And that's the idea. Now, what exactly is this average number? Well, if I take it from here and I measure it here, it's going to be really high. And if I take it from here and I measure it here, it's going to be negative. But what you want is you want this average number. Okay? And according to some of the estimates that I have seen in the past 120 years, the US stock market has grown at anywhere between 6% to 8%. All right, and I'm talking about again the indexes. So the indexes have grown at about 6 to 8% a year in the last 120 years. And here's the reason why you want to be kind of at some point invested again in one of these vehicles. When you put your money on your bank account today, it pays basically something like 0.01%. If you're getting paid 6%, okay, and you have $1,000 on this account, on the first year, if you leave it on the bank account, you're just gonna make a buck. On this one, you're gonna 0.01%. That's not even a buck. Yeah, it's a buck. It's a buck. Sorry. 6% is gonna be $60. And I know most people will be like, well, $59 extra, whatever. Okay, well, but let's take a look at year 2. So now you do it again, and you're gonna make another buck. But then on this account, you're gonna make 6% of now 1,060. And then the next time around, you're gonna make 6% of 1,000 and whatever the next number is. So if you do this one over a long period of time, in the top one, you're gonna end up with like maybe an extra $30 over 30 years. On this one, you're gonna end up with thousands of dollars extra. Okay? You could end up with a heck of a lot more than you would end up here. And this is the reason why you want to be again slowly investing. All right. If you want to learn a heck of a lot more about this, by the way, there are 1.5 million videos, so I don't really have to do it. But basically, watch other videos, and I actually have one as well, where they explain compound interest. Okay. So basically, you're gonna be growing at a faster speed, and then the next time around, you're gonna be growing at the speed that you grew plus. So your growth is gonna become exponential the longer and longer you keep doing it, and the higher the rate that you get regularly, the faster this is gonna happen. All right. So the bigger your account becomes, the faster the total money that you have will grow. And another way I like to explain this is if you have $1,000, you have $100 in your account, 6% is only $6. But if you have $1,000 in your account, it becomes $60. And then if you have $10,000 in your account, it becomes $600. So basically, the faster you grow your money, then the faster money will pay for itself at a much faster rate. And that's what really compound interest is trying to explain. But it's going to take you a long time to build a nest egg depending on where you start. I mean, if you're somebody wealthy and your parents left you a lot of money and whatever, then you're going to start at a much higher point than other people. But if you don't, then this nest egg of 10,000, 100,000, or 200,000 is going to take a really long time. But once you get to that level, you're going to see a free cash flow like you would have not believed, 20 years before or 30 years before. All right. And I actually think that's really the best way to invest. Now, of course, I am not your financial advisor right now. So, you should do whatever works for you. But this is what I recommend. So anyway, thank you for watching another video with Professor Choi. And if you like my videos, remember to like at the end. And if you can go ahead and subscribe. All right. And thank you very much. As always, an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope we learned something new today. and that it helps you for the future. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good one.